Good morning, everyone. Selamat pagi, and welcome to the Study in Canada Pre-Departure Orientation by Canadian Education International Indonesia and the Embassy of Canada. My name is Wely Kustono. I'm the director of CI Indonesia, and I will be one of the presenters today. But let me first welcome everyone this morning and congratulations to everyone as well, all students, that you have finally arrived at this stage. You have gone through a rigorous research process, probably starting a couple years back, and you have gone through the application process, meets your busy schedule at school with exams and all. But it's finally the day. You have graduated from high school. You have completed your study with high standing achievements, and you have already been accepted to the institutions of your choice. And now you are in the final stage of preparing for your departure to Canada. So, once again, congratulations to all. And hopefully, this morning's session will be a beneficial one for you to prepare all things the checklist that you need to do before you depart for Canada. But thank you for joining us on time so that we can begin the session as soon as possible. Because we do have a lot of things to cover today, we will start with my presentation, Journey to the Land of Maple Leaves. And basically, we will go through the checklist, the tips, and any important information that you need to know now that you are preparing for your study to Canada. Now, in the second session, we will also have a presentation from the visa section at the Embassy of Canada. So we will have an IRCC officer joining us to provide a presentation on study permit application as well as other immigration related regulations that you need to know once you are an international student in Canada. So I would imagine questions about work opportunities, the working hours restriction, the co-op permit, or the post-graduation work permit. These will be the kind of questions that you may have in your mind, and it will be addressed in this session. Then we will have a Q&A, a combined Q&A from the first and second presentation. So you are welcome to submit your questions. You probably notice that one of our team members has labeled himself, submit your questions here. So if you can find that and you can direct your questions to this person, that would be great because we will be compiling all questions, and then I, as a moderator, will raise the questions and also answer some of the questions myself during the Q&A. Now, last but not least, we will also have a session, a breakout session with the Permika friends. So Permika stands for Satuan Mahasiswa Indonesia Canada, or the Indonesian Student Association in Canada. And we have Permikas joining from different parts of Canada live. So it's actually in the evening, close to midnight for most of them. They will be joining from Vancouver, from Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal, as well as Ottawa. So we have a whole bunch of very helpful Indonesian students. They are that can't wait to meet with you and to share their experience and also their tips. Because I'm sure those tips will be very important because they are very current and I'm sure right away applicable for you when you arrive in Canada. So those will be it, and it will range from now until probably close to noon. So it is a pretty long session. So enjoy sit back and relax. And I hope there is a hot coffee or tea right in front of you, so we can make this session as comfortable as possible and, of course, as useful as possible. So once again, feel free to submit the questions throughout the entire presentation, but we will start addressing them at the Q&A. So we already exceeded the 100 participants mark. Right now it's 108. So it is going to be hopefully a very exciting event for everyone. So without further ado, I will put up my presentation so we can begin very soon. We purposely designed this study in Canada pre-departure orientation session as a tool to help all students get ready and be successful in their study in Canada. And of course, that doesn't mean only tips about learning, because for you to be successful in Canada with your study, it involves the other half that needs to be in balance with your study, and that is to live. Very simple. So, for you to be successful in Canada, this is the formula. It is a very simple formula, but it is not always easy to do. But for a student that is able to keep a proper, healthy balance between their life in Canada and their learning in Canada, we can guarantee that you are going to have a very successful experience and outcome studying in Canada. And the purpose of today's orientation is to equip you with the necessary knowledge and applicable tools and tips that hopefully will help you to achieve exactly this. So, first one, Canada is a massive country. I'm sure in your research you have found out that Canada is the second largest country in the world. And we have a very diverse geography. We have surrounded by the three oceans. We are surrounded by the three oceans. We have the mountain range. We have the greatest volume of fresh water inland, and we have a lot of forests. And we have a lot of people coming from different parts of the world. Now, we may not necessarily have the large population like some other countries, like Indonesia, for example, but we do have diverse people coming from different parts of the world. And that means different languages as well. So explore the diversity. And of course, when we are talking about diversity, as I said, it's not just the nature, it's not just the cities, but of course, it's also the art, the architecture, the cuisine, the lifestyle, and the culture that's represented in Canada. Because after all, we are a very multicultural country where we have different cultures from different parts of the world represented in Canada. And it will be a major loss if you study in Canada for 2 years, 3 years, or maybe 4 years, or even longer, but you uh, don't get the chance to explore the richness that Canada has to offer. But I'm sure you are joining this orientation not just to hear about that, but to actually get some useful tips and checklists and information that you need to note down as you prepare for your departure. So here is the first one. As you are preparing for your travel to Canada, I think the biggest question that we received from our registration, a lot of people submitted this question: what to prepare, what to pack. So we've been using this checklist for a number of years now, and I think this is still a very valid and relevant checklist. And I encourage everyone listening to this to take note of this. So let's start. Number one, important documents that you need to prepare. And I encourage everyone to make copies and bring the original as well. So two copies and one original that you bring with you, and also leave another set of copy at home just in case. If you happen to, hopefully, you will always take good care of the original document, but say so that you can always make as many copies as necessary. But if something happens and you knock wood, you lose the original document, then at least you have a set of copy at home that you can always get back to. Okay, and make sure you have a valid passport with a temporary resident visa and airline ticket. So temporary resident visa is an immigration document. It's a sticker that's usually pasted on your passport. So that's not study permit. That's something different, and I will explain the difference very shortly because it will be covered more extensively during the study. Sorry, the visa section presentation. The third one is the port of entry letter of introduction for study permit. So these are the immigration documents that you will have with you before you depart to Canada. The temporary resident visa, which is a visa sticker on your passport, and it should be labeled S1 because that visa is for international students. And then you will also have a port of entry letter of introduction, which you will receive when your study permit application has been approved. So you will not be getting the study permit document before you arrive in Canada. So in fact, that study permit you will collect once you have arrived in Canada at the first point of entry. So, depending on where you are going, you may arrive at different cities in Canada. But when you arrive and when you go through the immigration, when they see that you are a first time incoming international student, then they will direct you to another counter to collect your study permit. And they generally will be looking at this sticker visa and also the letter of introduction. So make sure you have both of them. And now you may have already used your letter of offer and letter of acceptance, your fees receipt during your study permit application. But it doesn't mean that those documents are no longer important. So it would be good to keep them with you for your travel to Canada. Proof of funds available, again, this is something that you have also provided in your study permit application, and you are welcome to keep that document ready with you as well for your travel. Academic documents, school transcripts, diploma, your TOEFL IELTS score, just keep that in with you, just in case you're gonna need them when you are arriving at your school for the orientation. Now, don't forget to have Canadian contact info. I think most of the students now going to Canada, they probably do not utilize airport pickup service. But if you still do, then you are welcome to contact your respective DLIs, your respective universities, college, polytechnic schools for those kind of arrangement. Of course, usually you'll have to pay for it. But if in most cases, you're probably going to be picked up by maybe your homestay, or maybe you have friends, relatives, and so on. In any case, please make sure that you have the full address and also the contact number of whoever that's going to pick you up if you are expecting that. If you are going to be using public transport, you are welcome to do so. Although generally I will encourage you to consider taxi because yes, it will be a bit more expensive, but it will be a lot easier and more convenient, especially when you first arrive in Canada for the first time, because you will be bringing a huge volume of luggage and you are still not familiar with your way around. So the best way will be either somebody picking you up or utilize the taxi service. Once again, also keep the contact information of your school international student center or your on-campus housing ready in case you need to contact them. Now, electronic devices, laptop, mobile phone, battery charger, and adapters are now usable universally because there is a different voltage between Indonesia and Canada. Canada is using the 110 volts. Indonesia is 220. But most of electronic devices now have the adapters, so that shouldn't be a problem. Now, the plugins, though, you have to pay attention. That picture next to the second point checklist is not a smiley or a surprise face. That's what the Canadian electric outlet looks like. So we have two squares and one round. So you need to make sure that you have the universal adapter that can go with that. So you can use your current devices in Canada without any difficulty. How much money you need to bring? Now, you can bring as much money as you like into Canada, although there is an immigration custom requirement that requires you to declare if you bring cash from 10,000 onwards. And I personally will not encourage you to bring that much money anyway in cash because right now, fund transfer, telegraphic transfer or wire transfer is very easy and very quick. Usually, you can get fund transfer to your account once you have already set up your account in Canada within a week, generally in a few days. So rather than bringing that much money and be a risk, I encourage students to have petty cash up to 2,000 Canadian dollars because you probably have already paid for your tuition or at least your deposit, and you probably already have your housing arrangements, which means that you have also covered the expenses already. So really, the petty cash is just for your day-to-day survival life. So I will not assign any more than 1 to 2 months maximum of petty cash for you to bring just in case. And these days you probably also have a credit card with you, although I will not encourage you to use credit cards all the time because you need to be mindful of the exchange rate. But again, petty cash up to 2,000 Canadian dollars should be enough for you to get started in the next month or so. Uh, do have smaller bills because you may need cash right when you are at the airport, maybe to get your own, I don't know, mobile number or maybe taxi. So do have smaller bills, so it will be a lot easier to use. Personal items, toiletries, towel, bed sheet. These actually take space, even though they may be light. So, quite frankly, unless if you are very uh, privy about this, I will encourage you to get them when you are in Canada, so that you can leave as much space for your luggage as necessary for your essentials, right? But things like glasses, contact lenses, prescriptions, stationaries, and again, like your electronic devices, yes, I think it's better for you to bring them rather than bringing towel, bed sheets, blankets, pillows, and so on. All right. But keep in mind, and I highlight this in red, pack yourself. Don't let your mom pack the stuff or don't let other people pack your stuff, but pack it yourself so you can manage your luggage yourself and do not overpack. Note the airline policy on the checked baggage allowance because most airlines now have quite different uh, baggage allowance. But one thing for sure for North American destination like Canada is a piece concept. So usually you can have two piece of luggage, but some airlines also offer only one piece baggage so that you can buy the airfare at much lower rate. So you need to check with the airline's policy on that. But each bag is usually not more than 23 kilos because the overweight fees can be quite expensive for, longer flight like, from Indonesia to Canada. And mindful of the prohibited and the restricted items, the liquid aerosol gel, especially if you are bringing them in your hand carries, right? You can bring your power bank with you in your hand carry, but make sure they are not packed in the check baggage. And for your LAG, on the other hand, you can only bring items with not with volume less than 100 milliliter per item. In total, it cannot be in, I believe 1 liter pack. And those anything more than that needs to be put into the check package, so it will not create any issues when you are at the boarding gate or at customs. All right. Keep important and original documents as valuable items in your hand carry at all times, because you never know. I hope everything is going to be smooth with your trip, but things happen, baggage get left behind or lost somewhere, and the airline may need a couple more days to track them and return them to you. So keep important and original documents as well as valuable items in your hand carry, and basic survival kits. I think that will be very important for you to note. Um, Whatever happens, don't panic. Whenever you need help, that's why you have that mobile contact information, rather than you are contacting home, contacting your parents, and they will be panic as well. And there is not much that they can do, or you contact your agents. All of them are in Indonesia. You need to have contacts or people that can help you in Canada. So it's very important to have that contact information as well. Now, also, this is highlighted in red, and this is also important because this may speed things up when you are at arrival, save you a lot of time rather than you have to line up for a long time, which is to download the latest version of the ArriveCan mobile app. You can download this in your um, in any of Google or Apple Store. And basically, this mobile app will allow you to submit your custom and immigration declaration electronically in advance, up to 72 hours in advance of flying to Canada. So this way, when you have arrived at your first point of entry, you can just go to their electronic booth to submit the information that you receive from your ArriveCan mobile app, and it will speed things up for you. So I encourage you to use this service. Although this is not compulsory. So if you do not want to use ArriveCan mobile app, you can, but then you have to go through the normal procedure at the point of arrival. All right. When you are checking in Jakarta or in any cities in Indonesia, for that matter, where you're from, make sure that you check in early, allow time for you so that you are not rushing into things, and because they're bound to have you're bound to do mistakes if you are too rushed. And check all your boarding passes, your bag tags to make sure that they are tagged all the way to the destination city in Canada. Now, if you are traveling to another city after your first point of arrival, this is very important. If you arrive in one of the cities in Canada, but it's not yet your final destination, and you still need to go to another city afterward. Once you have cleared your immigration and you get your study permit and all, you need to collect your bags and go to domestic departure or to the transfer counter for your next flight. So you, in most cases, and that's why this is very important for you to check, the bags are not through all the way to your final city. If you arrive at one city and then you still need to have another transfer, then you need to collect those bags and check them yourself for the domestic flight. So this is very important so that you don't end up losing your baggage at your final destination. All right. Now, immigration stamp is also important at the point of entry for you. So make sure you also check for that stamp once you have passed the immigration. Okay. Stay alert during transit because most of you are probably need to arrive transit at a different country before you enter Canada, regardless of different airlines that you may use. So whenever you are already at transit, I know a lot of things that you can explore, the duty-free shops and also maybe the rest area and so on. But be alert. Make sure that you know where is your boarding gate, your next boarding, and what time is it. So you make sure you can time yourself because some of the airports can be very huge and you may need to take trains, you may need to go to a different wing of the airport, and you may need to walk quite a bit. So make sure you time yourself so you will not miss your next flight. All right. So let's fast forward. Once you have arrived in Canada, what you need to do. We also received quite a bit of questions from the registration about the kind of questions that will be asked when arriving in Canada. So when you complete the ArriveCan app, those questions will be posted there. But if you are going through the immigration counter and meeting with the officer there, generally these are the kind of questions that they will ask you: the purpose of visit, how much money you bring into the country, uh, what are you going to study, where you going to study, and the items that you bring with you in your hand carry or in your luggage. And there is a very easy way to answer all these questions uh, when you have the checklist that I provided you earlier. Because purpose of visit, by showing your TRV and your letter of introduction, it shows that you are an international student going to Canada to study. How much money are you bringing? Again, if you're just bringing a bit of cash, then there is nothing to worry. You don't need to declare anything. Only when you bring 10,000 and up, that's when you need to declare. What and where to study? Again, very easy. You have your letter of acceptance, which can show what you're gonna study, and where you're gonna study. Now, about what to bring. Now, this may sound a little bit of work, but it may be handy, and you may not necessarily be asked this question all the time. But if it's easier, you can put together a list of items. You don't have to be very specific, but just make sure that you have a list of items and the quantities that you bring into Canada in your check package, particularly, and also in your hand carry, just in case. All right. Now, what else? What are the tips that you need to pay attention to? I strongly encourage students to check whatever documents, and this is not just before your arrival in Canada, but this is going to come in handy for you throughout your entire stay or your entire study in Canada. Do check whatever documents that you are signing and make sure that you always check for your items before you leave a place to make sure that you are not leaving behind anything and make sure that you understand what you are signing. Okay, that's very important. I think it's basic common sense. So make sure that you have that habit or that practice from now on. Don't forget to visit the campus, and I don't mean the day of the orientation. If you are arriving early in Canada, I think it is advisable to allocate a day, several days maybe before your orientation day, to visit the campus so that you can get familiarize yourself with the public transit, on how to get to the campus. You know your way around because most of the campuses in Canada are going to be pretty large. So it's gonna take maybe a quarter of a day, half a day, or maybe even the whole day to really tour the whole campus. But that's something that you can get familiar over time. But I strongly encourage you to at least know where the international student office is. Because that will be very important. So if you get lost, if you don't know your way around, then at least you know how to get to the international student office and get help. But of course, on top of On top of that day, visiting the campus, getting familiar with the surrounding, make sure that you also make time to attend your new student orientation. That's very important. Don't skip that for just an extra couple of days of holiday because you will miss a lot of information. Um, in some cases, there may be placement or assessment tests for your English or math. It depends on your respective schools. You may want to find out earlier, or maybe they inform you already. Your course enrollment, if it's not done already, campus tour, student ID, and so on. Because you will be making student IDs and so on as well. Now, apart from your campus, I also encourage you to visit Indonesian embassy or consulate if you are in Ottawa, Toronto, or Vancouver. If you are in other cities, then yes, that's okay. You can't do that, but you can drop a quick mail, or maybe these days I think you can you can register online so that they know that you are an Indonesian student currently studying in Canada. This may come in handy, let's say, if you need to apply for a new passport or if you need some consular help, then at least you are already in their system and you can seek their assistance as well. Once again, to remind everyone, Indonesian embassy is only obviously in Ottawa, but we have two consulates, one in Vancouver and another one in Toronto. And in some cases, they also do their own quick clinics stops at different cities that under their jurisdiction. If you want to know more, Indonesian Embassy and consulates, they also have Instagram account that you can follow and be in touch with the events and information that they may uh, post at their social media. Okay. Now, banking and phone service, very important. We have different banks. Unfortunately, none of them have presence here in Indonesia. So these are the banks that you can that you can visit and open your account. Now, I encourage you to open either a checking account or a saving account, which allows you to utilize checks and debit cards. Again, as I said, credit cards from Indonesia, uh, definitely you can use them, but you need to be mindful of the exchange rate. Eventually, if you are going to need one, probably it's better to apply for a credit card in Canada. But usually they will be looking at your credit history, and because you are a student and you are fairly new in Canada, you have to check whether the banks offer that service. But debit card and checks are definitely available when you open a checking or saving account. And you can look at Bank of Montreal, CIBC, Desjardins, President's Choice, Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, Scotiabank, and TD as well. So please uh, check for the ones that are friendly to students in terms of rates and services. What do you need? Generally, you'll just need to bring your passport and your visa and your study permit, and that will be sufficient for you to open an account. Internet phone service. There are a couple of companies. The main big ones are Rogers, Telus, and Bell. Now, within each company, they have their product line that you can choose for your mobile, like Fido and Chapter for Rogers, Kudo and Public for Telus, Virgin Lucky for Bell, and maybe even some other mobile companies that I may not be aware of. But these are some of the major ones that students use all the time. And I'm sure by now you are probably already familiar that there will be health insurance allocated to you. Some provinces they use provincial health insurance program. Some other provinces they use private health insurance program. It doesn't matter. Either way works as long as you are covered for insurance because that will be very important uh, for international students. During cases of emergency, when you need health assistance or health service, if you don't have insurance, then that is going to be a major problem, because you may not be admitted or you have to pay a lot of money to get the service. So make sure you get the insurance. Now, for the ones that are going to be assigned a government provincial health insurance program, you will not be able to apply for it while you're still in Indonesia, because you need to be physically present in Canada before you can apply for that provincial health insurance program. So if you still would like to be covered within the gap, for your travel and for the first couple of months or weeks before you can apply for this provincial health insurance program, then I encourage you to get a travel insurance that you can easily buy from Indonesia, at least to cover you for that part. Okay, and social insurance number is definitely something to consider if you are going to work in Canada. Just a refresher, as an international student, you can work without limited hours on campus. If you work outside campus, even though you don't need a work permit, but there is a work hour limitations, which is 24 hours a week. Now, during break and during summer holiday, school holiday, you are welcome to work full time and you will not be violating any immigration regulations. But in order for you to work in Canada, you need social insurance number. So this is also something that you can apply once you are already physically present in Canada. Okay, other social tips. Spend time with your host parents and their family members if you choose to live in a homestay. Now, understand that homestay is not just a mere housing. You will be staying in someone's house. That means they have their house rules and there are people and they are used to housing international students. So they are usually very culturally open and they are very helpful and they are very friendly. So I know it can take some time to adjust living in someone's place, but it can become your place when you engage them socially and also respect them and also their housing rules. I know some students can find difficulty adjusting to this homestay, but please give it time. And if you follow this tip, I think it's going to help you a lot. Now, once you no longer need homestay assistance, or maybe you like to live on your own, or maybe sharing an accommodation with your friends, that's something that you can later on do once you are familiar already with your neighborhood. Maybe you know good establishments, close, very easy with the public transport, good rental fees, and you also have a couple of good friends already that can share accommodation. Then yes, you can do that. But probably most of the international students, if they don't know anyone in Canada, they probably opt to go for either dormitory on campus, or if the campus doesn't have dormitory, then they will go for homestays. Some minor students, if you are under the age of majority and you need custodianship, then most likely your host parents are gonna be your custodians. So at least until you reach that age of majority as well. Find student associations. It doesn't have to be Indonesian student associations like Permika. If there is Permika in your city, that's wonderful. Please make sure you join them. But even if there is no Indonesian student association, for example, there will be international student associations that you can join, or student clubs or activities, or even Indonesian or local religious communities that you can also participate in. And don't forget to explore the city. Remember my first couple of slides at the beginning. Explore the city, explore the diversity, and you don't need a private car, quite frankly, to survive in Canada, because they have a very reliable public transit system. You just need to familiarize yourself with their public transport system. Okay. Now, we also have questions coming in during registration about how to adjust, how to adapt, especially when experiencing culture shock, because you will experience culture shock, but it may sound like very strong word shock. But quite frankly, depending on different individuals, you may have different characters, and that also affect the degree of shock that you may experience. For some people, it can be really mild and you barely experience it. Some maybe can be quite difficult, especially when you don't have the necessary coping mechanism. So hopefully, by familiarizing yourself with the stages of these cultural adaptation, it can help you to cope better. So everyone will go through honeymoon stage. All these stages can be short or long, again, also depending on individuals. But basically, in the honeymoon stage, you feel the optimism. You are fascinated easily. You are excited. You are adventurous because you are still like a tourist. You are like a visitor. But the second stage starts to kick in when families that maybe accompany you have left, or maybe you are now on your own. Maybe you are facing difficulties, challenges, and now you realize that you have to be more responsible with yourself and you have to tackle those issues yourself. That's when you feel inadequate sometimes, disappointed, withdraw, or you become lonely, and hopefully you will not go all the way to being depressed because there are a lot of resources, a lot of supports, a lot of help available on campus that you can access before you get into that stage. So I strongly encourage you, if you are at this hostility stage, this is a very crucial stage that you need to get help. Yes, you will be on your own, but it doesn't mean that you have to face everything on your own. Once again, it's better to find helps in Canada rather than go back to your parents, go back to your agents. Yes, they may give you some good advice, and it's always good to have connection back to your home country. But remember, you need to have a prompt live support that is much easier to access in Canada by utilizing the campus service. So, especially since COVID, a lot of institutions have uh, really elevate their mental service for the students to make sure that students are being supported so they can go through this stage rather quickly. And then the next stage, you will start to adjust. The reality starts to dawn in that you are not there just for a visit. You are not a tourist, but you are an international student, and you're gonna be there for several years. Then you start to assure yourself. You start to become more independent and more confident as well, and start to be more in control. And then the rest of the stages are going to be pretty straightforward because then you are already comfortable. You have already a community that you are accepted at, and it's very easy. The next stage is actually if you are returning to Indonesia, then there may be a reverse culture shock, but that's a different story for a different time. But make sure you are familiar with these stages. So, what to do, how to cope, learn about the Canadian culture before leaving home. And this orientation is just only a tip of the iceberg. You need to research more, you need to go to different sites to learn more about this. And again, tap to Permicas so they can give you a heads up because they have already gone through the process. Pack some mementos from home. And this is what I mean. Keep communication with your family back home. That's perfectly fine. And I actually encourage that. When I used to be an international student myself, I maintain a regular communication at least once a week. And this is before the easy internet time. My time internet is dial up. So we don't have WhatsApp. We don't have Line. We don't have WeChat. All I have is to buy a phone card that gives me 15 minutes or 30 minutes call, and I use it up. Now it's very easy. You can just easily make a call home and it's absolutely free. So do maintain communication, but don't have one foot back in Indonesia, because then you cannot move forward. Both of your feet need to be in Canada, but keep your communication, and keep contacting home with your parents. Share with them about your accomplishments, your achievements, your happy times, or maybe some issues or challenges that you may face. All right. And remember this, ask questions. For some reason, Indonesian students don't like to ask questions. They prefer to just, uh, um, wait, and being very passive or very shy, rather than ask questions when they don't really know the answer. So, once again, if you are unsure about anything, and I don't just mean schools, but about anything else, you can ask questions. The key is to ask the right questions to the right people, right? But let's start by asking questions first. At least you need to get that habit going. Yeah. Talk to other international students. Ask other international students about their experience in Canada. Most of the time, they probably gonna have similar issues, right? If you are there for the first time and you are at the orientation room and you see a lot of people from different parts of the world, they may look a bit different than you, but trust me, we are all humans and we are all have similar concerns, and issues and challenges. So talk to them, share, and maybe you can help each other. But of course, don't forget to use professional support service, especially when related to your academic consultation, your social consultation, and other matters or other essentials that you may need help on. Get involved in local communities. Don't be on your own, because then you will feel lonely. But if you have friends, if you have communities that you can be part of regularly, then it will make it a lot more enjoyable, in terms of your stay in Canada. Participate in group events, be open to new experience, not just with Indonesian students or just with Asian students, but generally with Canadian friends. And when I say Canadian, you will find out soon enough. When I say Canadian, it doesn't mean white, blonde people, but Canadians represent really a diverse population with different background, race, language, culture, and so on. And please make sure that you explore the richness, and just to be a good friend, and just to be um, in good communities, that you can engage with. Try to relax, and this is very important. It doesn't mean that your experience in Canada is not valuable, but sometimes by not taking everything too seriously, then you will become less worrisome and you will become less nervous, and actually you will be able to perform much better in your study. You will be able to enjoy more your stay in Canada. Now, study tips. I also have a lot of questions about this. Now, study tips can be very, very massive to tackle, in just a very short period of time. But these are some key issues that I always leave with the students, so that they will keep this in mind. So sometimes, or most of the times, in fact, when now you are at the university or at a polytechnic or college, you will see a lot of opportunities to work in groups. Now, some of you may prefer to work individually. Maybe you're used to that here in Indonesia, but you need to adjust yourself, because there will be a lot of assignments that require you, where you have no choice but to work in groups. So you need to be able to work in a team setting, and you need to know that sometimes you need to play the role as a leader, especially if the group is rather passive. But sometimes you also need to learn how to follow other people, so that you can keep that balance of playing leader or playing a follower, so that we can have a healthy dynamics when working in groups. You also need to practice writing essays. I think more Indonesian students are becoming better and better at this. But if this is something that you are still struggle with, make sure that you practice researching online resources, organizing arguments or ideas, communicating data and perspective, because this will be these are important tools for you to be able to write good essays. And you will see that some of your gradings at schools will be based on essays or compositions. So this is something that you have to face now or later. So might as well start building up, shaping, sharpening those skills from now on. Learn delivering presentations. I know some of you may be a bit nervous when standing in front of everyone, talking to people. Trust me, back in when I'm still in high school, I'm also have my own share of nervousness when speaking to people. But here I am now, speaking to people all the time, delivering presentations, talking to people, leading groups. These are important skills that can be developed. And there will be clinics at school, at campuses where you can attend. If you know you have some difficulties on certain areas or certain skills, don't accept it and do nothing, but try to get helps and try to improve yourself. So for presentations, how to prepare slides, how to prepare your speaking notes, cue cards, how to know your content, anticipate questions that may come up during presentations, and practice with self and friends. These are all very important. Finally, seek help from professors, teaching assistants, advisors, tutors, peers, resource centers. These are all available resources to you, but they can only be accessible if you reach out to them. You need to be more proactive to get helps rather than waiting for someone to approach you. This is going to be a totally different approach now that you are going to be on your own studying in Canada. You need to reset your mindset and start to be more active in everything you do, more active in asking questions, more active in getting helps, more active in your study, and so on. And finally, last but not least, plagiarism is a serious offense. It's a serious offense here, and if any, I would say it's a much more serious offense in Canada. So make sure that you do not do that, whether consciously or unconsciously. So always give credits and so on. I'm sure these are the kind of something that you have learned at school, even at a high school stage. So right now it's 10 o'clock, so I'm almost wrapped up with my presentation. Team, please confirm with me if the representatives from the visa section is already here. But very quickly, I just want to share with you about the work opportunities available for you. The visa section will cover this in greater details, and I've already explained this a little bit earlier. So you have on-campus work opportunity, where you can work without limited hours, on campus only, and you can work up to 24 hours a week during regular school terms or semester and full time during school break. Now, both on campus and off campus do not require work permit, so your study permit will let you do that. Now, with co-op permit, um, we have a new exciting news as well about this co-op permit. I will let the visa section update you on that. But on campus, off campus, and co-op opportunity are also available to you as additional sources of funding. It doesn't mean that you don't have the necessary financial support, because you need to have them. That's the key reason why you can get your study permit approved. But for extra cash and extra experience, and I underline the experience part, I encourage international students to explore all of these opportunities. Now, the PGWP, the post-graduation work opportunity, that's also available, but I will let the visa section presentation covers that part. All right, and that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it's going to be useful for you. I encourage you to make a quick screenshot or maybe write down this important portals, www.educanada.ca and www.canada.ca, because they have probably even more information than what we have covered in my presentation and in more details as well, in case you need to get back to some of them, in case you miss some information or you like to dig deeper. All right. These are my contact information with my colleagues. If you still have some follow-up questions, you're welcome to reach out to any three of us. It doesn't mean that you have everyone from Jakarta need to contact me. You can also contact Galen or Levy. In some cases, they respond faster than me because I need to travel sometimes and I may respond a bit slower. But if you have any questions, write down in the chat box. So hopefully we can address them during the Q&A rather than you have to wait for our response via email. All right. Finally, last but not least, yes, you'll be leaving for Canada, but you can still remain in touch with us. Maybe even still follow our social media in Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Particularly Instagram, because we post important information that not only relevant to students in Indonesia that are still planning to Canada, but even for Indonesian students that are already in Canada. And let me just say one more thing before I wrap up. And we would like to hear back from you because rather than, I think in most cases, rather than Indonesian students and parents listening to us talking about Canada, I think they are much more interested listening to you from your own personal experience in Canada. So therefore, I encourage you to reach out to us once you are already in Canada, once you have done a couple of years in Canada, you may have done some co-op experience, talk to us, connect with us so we can get your testimonies, and in turn we can share your positive experience about Canada to the students in Indonesia. Just like you may have heard or listened to some testimonies or some sessions that feature Indonesian students that are already in Canada. So let's help each other and let's continue sharing our positive experience in Canada. Thank you very much, all students.